Like, he showed himself so real in my life too many times for me to allow doubt to get the best of me.
All right, you guys, so I'm gonna give Martina her proper introduction. All right, and so you guys, Mrs. Martina Davis is the founder of her marketplace ministry, which is an online community for women in business. And she's the owner of Her Marketing Plan, a marketing agency where she provides services such as content creation, social media management, coaching, business resources, and empowerment. Martina is the forerunner for teaching women how they can merge their faith and business and how to market their business God's way. Martina is a believer, a wife to her high school sweetheart, a mother of 5, and entrepreneur. She strives to put God first in all that she does. Martina enjoys quality time with her family, trying new foods, reading, shopping decor, and planning. Let us welcome Miss Martina.
I gave you the full bio. Hello, everyone. Hello.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much again, sis, for your yes. I'm just going to jump right into it and just ask you if you could just share a time where you had to take a leap of faith. You had to step out on faith.
Yeah, my whole life. I would say most recently, well, even before I'll share my current testimony, I want to share how I really adapted the faith mindset. And I've been a believer all my life. I've been in church since I can remember. Mom took us to church since babies. But it wasn't until adulthood that I really adapted the faith mindset. And the faith mindset to me is when no matter what comes your way, trials, tribulations, challenging circumstances, situations where you're like, okay, it's not the end of the world, but it's close to it, or you just don't know like how to navigate. And usually those situations or those times that would cause you to stumble in your faith or to doubt God or to lean on your understanding, I really learned to adapt the faith mindset where I'm cool, calm, and content. And I'm like, God got this. We in partnership. We're going to do this. What's the plan, God? If I got to wait for the plan, okay. Until then, I'm going to be calm. I'm going to be cool. And that has not always been the case for my life. I'm very hyper, very emotional. So the past few years, I really adapted the faith mindset. And I think what really increased my faith was about 2 years ago, my family and I, so me and my husband and our 5 children, we're from New Jersey, born and raised Jersey girl, and we moved to the state of Georgia. We knew, God started putting in our spirits maybe 5 years before we moved here that we were going to move. But that final year, before the big move happened, he just kept dropping it in our spirit. And me and my husband would pray, we would fast, we would have our family meetings and talk about it with our children, because our whole life was in Jersey, all our families in Jersey. And that year leading up to the move, God was like, oh, I'm going to test your faith, and I'm going to let you know this is the faith move. We actually called it the faith move. I mean, we had a house we were renting. The landlord tried to sell it while we were there. And then he's like, okay, I'll wait till your children are out of school. It was just so many like stuff happening. We had a savings account. We had saved our money for this move. And then a car broke down. And another car broke down. Before you knew it, we had to keep tapping into savings until our savings was depleted. So here we are. I want to say 3 days before the move, we're cleaning out our home, we're selling, we got rid of just about everything, and we're about to take this move. And my husband, you know, it's his last days at his job in Jersey. And, you know, even that was challenging because if you're paid hourly, you need all them hours. And so here we are, we're packing up our life. I remember God was just giving us the plan. You know, at first we were going to take everything with us. He said, no, have a yard sale. We sold everything. Then we gave everything away. Then he was like, just take your 2 cars and whatever you could fit. And so I'm a mama of 5, so I have a whole van. And then my husband's car. So we literally packed up my minivan, and me and my husband and our 5 children, we drove 14 hours to Georgia. We had breaks in between, you know, stopped at hotels, but here is where like the faith really came in. Because it's one thing to say, okay, God, we're trusting you. We're leaving our hometown. We're leaving our comfort zone. We're leaving our babysitters, right? Yes. But the day we left, We had $180, a family of 7, and we had $180 to our name. And we were like, okay, God, how are we doing this? How are we doing this? But we went by faith. We went by faith, and we started. We traveled for a couple hours, and we felt led to stop in one state, and we stayed there. Got a great deal. Even though my husband wasn't working with the post office, he still had those deals. So we got a great deal on the hotel. Then we had a random gift card, a digital gift card that came, and we were ready to pay for food. So anyway, his last check came in a couple of days later, like the second day of our trip. And so we were able to maintain. And so we got into the state of Georgia, and we're like, okay, God, we're here. Where the heck do we start? Where do we live? What are we doing? And it was just so strategic how God did it. Within the first week, my husband had a job. I had a job before I moved down here, but I started later. But that whole time, so to kind of give you where the faith really comes in. So imagine family of 7, $180 come in. We start the trip. You know, his last direct deposit comes in, and we're living off of that. There's no savings. There's no backup. Nothing. He starts to work. Thank God his work pays him weekly, right? So job he didn't have before, it pays him weekly. So we were able to maintain. We were door dashing. We were staying in a hotel while we were looking for houses. And just as I was about to give up, because it's challenging. Like, thank God we had a roof over our head. We were able to provide food and stuff like that. But every time it started to get really tight, every time there was a moment for doubt, God would come through. So I'll give you some of the ways. We were at this hotel. Let me tell you something. Staying at a hotel is not cheap. We were not at a motel because I still a little bougie. I still care where my kids is at. So, you know, to live at a hotel, we were paying like $3,400 a month. Okay, more than I pay for our whole nice house now. And so imagine you don't have no. I don't want to say we didn't have a real income, but we just didn't have the income that we were used to having. And now we were technically living above our means in a hotel. And so every time there was a challenge, every time money got tight, every time we didn't know where the next meal was coming, a way was made. And I'll give you examples. We moved to Georgia, found out that church, they're like family to us, but they were church members who went to our church back when we were teenagers. Me and my husband have been together since 15, who seen us growing up together. End up living 30 minutes. They were from Jersey, end up living 30 minutes away. So I remember when they found out, they called us, invited us over, gave us food. They let us stay for a week. They had this big old house in the country. Oh, you know what I mean? So it would be, so even though it was a challenge, and it was like God made it like this, such a great adventure. They had a pool. My children got to play in the pool. They was ordering food. They wasn't cooking. They was ordering food for us. Like, they really took care of us. And every time, even when we had to transition hotels, there was always a pool. So for my children, even though it could have been like low-key struggle nation here, to them it was this big adventure, staying at all these hotels, going in the pool. We would just meet people or find out people from Jersey who now live in Georgia. My husband had family out here. We didn't know. Wow. They had a pool. They would invite us over. So it was like, you know, especially when you're coming to a land, you don't know nobody, and all of a sudden you know people. Yes. I was just sharing with a friend earlier today, the hotel we were staying at, I remember, so I finally started working, and I thank God for provision with this job, because now I was making good money. And so I remember we were waiting on that first check, and it was like a 3-day gap, and we had, you know, when you check into a hotel, you pay in advance for the days that you're staying. But we was on that last day. And I remember thinking like, okay, how are we going? We tapped out. And I'll even be transparent. I was a general manager at McDonald's. So at the time, even when food got tight, I could just feed them through my job. Not that it's the best food, but you had to do what you had to do, right? Right. I don't eat like that no more. But, you know, it really helped in that season. So sometimes in those seasons, you just got to make it work. So here we were, 3 days before my next pay. There was no money coming in. You could DoorDash, but it takes forever to get the kind of money you need to pay for this room. And I'm like, okay, God, are we going to have to live in a car for a couple of days? You know, I was ready to suck it up. And I was like, okay, we'll do it. You know, it was just really hard. But I felt led to go talk to the lady at the front desk. I talked to the lady at the front desk, and she said, listen, I sort of like my pay stubs. I'm like, listen, I'm going to get paid in 3 days. can we stay? And I will pay, and they let me. That doesn't happen at hotels.
No,
And we
not
were
at all.
not getting, and nothing against anybody, we weren't getting state assistance. We didn't have any help. It's just me and my husband doing this with our children. And so it was just, situations would come up and a way was made every time. For the mothers out there, my youngest daughter, at the time, she had never been to school. She was always home with me. And so here we are in a new state, my children in a new school, and she needed to go to pre-K. She always been with me, right? And now I'm working, daddy's working, I'm like, okay, she has to go to school. We don't know the area. There's tons of childcare centers where you're like, okay, which one?
Right.
So I started work on Monday. It was Friday. And I'm just telling you how God will come through for you every detail, okay? It's Friday. I start work on Monday, and I'm like, okay, we have to find her school. So I found myself about to get all frazzled, like just really, and I just felt the Spirit of God, just his peace. When how it says peace surpasses all understanding, his peace like really came for my mental and calmed me all the way down. And when you get in a state of peace, when you allow God's peace to enter your body, to enter your mind, you function and you think better. You're more sensitive to his spirit, right? He talks about how his children know his name, and they know his voice. But sometimes you can't hear that because of life. And there's so much noise and so much going on. And so his spirit literally calmed me down. Okay, God, you brought us this far. I'm not going to start tripping out. And I kid you not, he said, go search it up. I searched the same thing I was searching before on Google, but yeah, I got a different list of school childcare centers. I see one, it had 2 locations, and God told me to pick this location. I called them, they said they had availability, so I'm like, okay, bet. Drive out there, get the application. Thank God we had, because everything's expensive when you barely got money. It was a $75 application fee, right? So I'm like, okay, pay that. And then I'm like, okay, how much is the weekly, right? I'm all scared, like, because childcare ain't cheap and we don't have assistance. And she said it's free. I said, what do you mean it's free? So I got excited, but I'm gonna be real honest. I got excited, but I was like, hold up. If it's free, what kind of system is this? It's gonna be, let's just be real. I was like, hold on. But they gave me a tour. I met my daughter's teacher. My daughter's teacher was this Indian woman who's been a teacher for over 25 years. I mean, it was a beautiful program, like a beautiful center. And I was like, this is free and this quality.
Wow.
And she was able to start that Monday. I was able to get her doctor's appointment. Mind you, we have no doctors out here, no pediatrics. I had to find a pediatric. I had to get her documents transferred over. All on this Friday before they close. Because let me tell you, on Friday, especially in Georgia, these black people, oh, they shut it down. I don't care what the hours are or what profession either. So anyway, so I was able to get all that done, and I'm gonna share one more part of the story. When I first dropped my daughter off, and if you're a mother, you get this. I first dropped my daughter off. Mind you, even though God ordained this, it's still nerve-wracking. I never did this yet in a whole new area. And when I went in the center, there was 2 women that, my spirit was like, it was a check in my spirit. And I said, okay, God, I know you led me here. I know you ordained this. I like your teachers. But it was something about that receptionist and another lady who was watching them. And I just, your spirit will tell you, it will discern and pick up on people, and you ain't got to know a thing about it. And I felt that in my spirit, but I was like, okay, God, what do you want me to do? You're making me aware, but what can I do? Like, you should have handled it before this moment. 2 days later, whole new director, receptionist, whole new staff, besides my daughter's teacher, they had switched leadership. And tell me how me and the new director, between my husband and myself, we were all good friends. Like, such a good relationship. So you can't tell me, like, God, let me tell you this. God will remove people out of places for you. God will reposition people for you. For you. You are so favored that he will remove people. Even, I had a bully at my job years ago. Like, I'm grown. How are you bullying me? Like, she was just so trifling in her spirit. I don't know how else to say it. And she was just mean, petty old woman. She probably was a witch and didn't know it. She just was like no good. And she had left our job and she had came back. And I remember when she was coming back, I said, God, I am not, there's warfare in the workplace, right? But this was so intense. And I told God, I ain't battling this. And I remember I talked to my supervisor. And and this was, in my 20s still. But But I want to say this because it's important you understand that God will remove people on your behalf. She was coming back and she was high position, had a lot of years of experience, way more than me, right? I'm just still the young new girl. I told my supervisor, I said, listen, she's coming back. I know she's been with the company. I'm out. I'm not dealing with that spirit. Either y'all transfer me or I'm done. I'm done. It's too much. And he said, Martina, it was almost like God was using him to say, Martina, I got you. Just hold on. Mm-hmm. When she came back, I saw, and even though I see this is happening in the natural, you have to understand what God would do for you spiritually, transfer and manifest in the natural. I saw my supervisors and all the higher ups come up with a plan to get her out of there legally, Yeah. I seen it. And within her first day, she was gone within an hour, out of the organization, out of the company, just out. And she had years of experience with them. She's worked for multiple stores. And all it took was me saying, and that lets you know how God will favor you. Because sometimes you like, especially if you're in a workplace, you're like, well, such and such, you know how those people who've been there for years and they're real comfortable.
Yes.
She was one of them. And I said, I'm not battling that spirit no more. I ain't coming to work for that. And removed her. So remove people. God will remove people on your behalf. He really will.
Yes. No, yeah, that's so powerful. I can relate a lot to that. I know it's a huge move, and I remember watching you, and but I didn't realize how intense it was, like how much you actually went through, like behind, and it's just like, wow, that it really is a faith move, because my family and I, we moved as well from Connecticut to Florida almost 3 years ago now, and I know the level of faith that you need to do that move and to uproot your children and to leave your family, your friends, like it's already so intensified. So you sharing that is super powerful. So I thank you. I thank you for sharing that. Yeah. So such an inspiration. And thank you everyone that's joining, everyone that'll watch the replay. Can you share if someone's watching now and they're feeling like they know God is calling them to take a leap of faith, but they're afraid, what would you say to that person?
Listen, it ain't easy. First, I'm gonna be real with you. It's not easy, but you're really gonna have to push past that fear. You're really gonna have to adapt the faith mindset. And I have convinced myself mentally, how we talk about renewing the mind and training your mind. I have trained my mind and my faith and in my belief system that no matter what, because trials and tribulations are happening right now in life. Yeah. But I just made up my mind. I've been through too much, and God has did too much, provided too much, helped me overcome. He showed himself so real in my life too many times for me to allow doubt to get the best of me. Yeah. And that's just where I'm at. And so I would just encourage you, it's uncomfortable. Yeah, fear comes up. These are real emotions that we deal with as humans. But I encourage you to push past it, to adapt that faith mindset, to do what you have to do to be rooted in faith, right? Read your scriptures, pray. I don't give yourself some tests. Sometimes you always wait on God to test us. I used to give myself tests, right? Just personal tests. Or I used to practice in the mirror, how would I respond? When I was dealing with that lady in the workplace, how would I respond with grace, but letting you know I'm not a pun, right? I would practice a lot of time, even now in my room in the mirror, when I'm battling or when I'm going through warfare or when I have to have uncomfortable conversations with people or whatever it may be, I begin to practice. Even though I'm in a room by myself, I will practice and speak life to that situation, and I will pray until my confidence has overtaken, until peace has risen to the top, and you know what I mean? I'm just that strong mentally. And it takes time. You just have to build yourself there. Yeah. You have to build up there. But it's the testing of our faith that strengthens us. It's so true. Yeah, it's so true. And you have to see. And I always say, trials and tribulations, they do make us stronger if you let them. And for years, when hard things would happen, I was just a weak believer, man. Just a spoiled little girl who thought nothing could happen to her. And when things happen, I used to cry. I used to complain. I used to be like, don't give me the Job experience. Don't. I was telling my friend today, I was like, don't let the devil come to your presence on my behalf. No. You know, like, let's avoid. Can we avoid that? No. But I had to overcome that weakness, and it had to be revealed, like, daughter, you're being too weak. Greater is he that's in me than he that's in the world. And I think when I understood that,
yes,
he who dwells, and that's the thing, is he who dwells within you, and that's where your confidence comes from. That's where your faith mindset comes from, because you know that the greater resides within you. You know that his spirit resides within you. You know that it's his spirit is doing the work for you. You just surrender and trust it. And that's why I always say his spirit empowers me. If his spirit is not backing me up, like, I'm cool, you know, Martina, she decent. But when his spirit backs me up, that's superpower, y'all. That is supernatural superpower.
yes, absolutely.
And that's how I live. So even if you feel like you're lacking in faith, then okay, it's time to build up that spirit, man. It's time to surrender to the Holy Spirit. It's time to surrender to God, because when his spirit fills you, that faith increases.
Yes, that's so good. I love that. I love that you shared that. And I just want to give you your flowers publicly, Martina, because I did a whole testimony Tuesday about this maybe like a year ago. But I just want to share it again, where Martina was actually someone who was very, very instrumental in me realizing the plan of the enemy that he put on my life many years ago. And I don't know if you remember this, but there was a time when you and we had a session.
Okay.
And yeah, and I remember like crying to you about something that happened to me in my past, like, you know, and I remember you literally just, I believe it, I know it was the Holy Spirit speaking through you. And you said to me, you were like, you came into agreement with the lie. And it was the first time that my eyes were open spiritually to that. Like, I didn't realize that the enemy was trying to like block my mindset to who God had called me to be. And you were like the first person that showed me that, like opened my eyes to see, to show me that this particular situation that happened in my childhood was literally a scheme from the enemy's camp. And so I just want to thank you personally. While we're on this live, I don't want to like get off of this live without publicly thanking you for that, because it really helped me unlock and to break through a lot of the chains that were keeping me bound and having me not show up in my power, in my Holy Ghost power. And so thank you again for that. I forever will have you indebted in my heart, and I love you forever for that. And so,
and I'm gonna give you your flowers too for your growth, because it's funny how, you know, we connect with people on Instagram. Janelle and I have been connected. It's been a lot of years.
Yes, it's been so long.
It's been like 4, maybe more.
4 years. It's been 4 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, cause I had my youngest about 4 years, and I just remember our first connecting over the call, and I even remember before we got on the call, hello ladies, how I prayed. I will always pray before our calls, because even though it was business focused, I understood it was ministry. And so I always pray before I get on my calls. And in that season, God was just revealing things, in personal life. It was like, hold on, before we handle business, let's deal with the personal. So I want to give you your flowers, because I remember that first call. I remember times we worked together, the mentorship, and to see what were your stumbling blocks, and to like see you now, because I'm on your email list, and I'll be like, didn't you email like to see the growth, to see the confidence, to see you to create the journal, things that I remember you were talking about, and we were trying to get plans to get it created, just things were going on. But to see the fruit, to see how it's beautiful. Yeah. It's like so dope. I'm like, girl,
thank you. And I remember our first session too, because you were like, oh, the Lord told me that, like, you were saying like you're gonna write a book, and I was just like, a book? And like literally it happened like a year later, it happened, and I was like, oh my God. And it wasn't until afterwards I realized, wait, Martina did say I was gonna write a book. So like that to me is it just shows like the Spirit of the Lord is truly working in and through you, and I'm a testament to that. And I love you forever for that. You're my sister forever.
Yes.
And, yeah. So I just had to share that quickly with everyone. All right, you guys. So for everyone that's on the call, just like, can you please just like share how people can keep in touch with you and like what do you have coming up?
Yes. So first and foremost, you can follow me at Her Marketing Clear Co. So that's my main business where I offer my services, basically digital marketing services, brand design, content creation, social media management, email marketing, all of the things. You can follow me there. And then also I started a new brand. It's called Prepare Your Room. I am a mother of 5 and I have really grown as a mother since I first gave birth to the last time, and just really spiritually matured when it comes to motherhood and embracing it, because that's a whole nother story, guys. So definitely follow me there at Prepare Your Room. Yeah, we're having our first virtual event on May 18th, and it's not going to be your typical mommy stuff. Like we're not talking about baby showers and gender reveals. Those are fun, maternity shoes and stuff like that. I'm here for it. But we're going to talk about the spiritual things because God was revealing to me the warfare in the womb and a lot of things that are being inherited in the womb and not dealt with. I'm a testimony of some things that got transferred in my life from my mother's womb. And it wasn't until my 30s where I'm battling and going through warfare when someone prays and they're like, Martina, you inherited this from your mother's womb. And you know, family don't talk, well, not all, but a lot of family don't talk about trauma and things that happen. But scripture tells us that blessings and curses go up to the 4th generation. And so a lot of times we're dealing with things, we're dealing with other people's trauma, anxiety, and we're like, God, what is going on? We're like, this is warfare. But we dealing with generations of trauma that have not been dealt with, that have not been confessed, that have not been repented. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to talk about, we just want to make sure you prepare for motherhood, that you're taking care of your womb physically and spiritually. So at Prepare Your Womb, thank you. She did share it. She penned Prepare Your Womb. That event is my first virtual one, and I'm so excited for what God is going to reveal. So whether you're expecting, already a mother, or you're recently married, you're like, sis, we're going to wait a couple years, but I'm going to be a mother. This event is definitely for you.
Yeah, that's powerful. That's so necessary because people don't understand like everything is like spiritual. Like it really is. And so, yeah, thank you for doing that. Hey, sis. Yes, I'm definitely going to be signing up as well. Yes. All right, awesome. Thank you so much, Martina. I really appreciate you taking the time to share your testimony. I know it's going to be such a blessing to so many. It was a blessing to me, and I know it's going to be a blessing to so many more. And so God bless you, and I thank you. I thank you. I thank you again. All right, bye, you guys.